What's up guys, welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about how to bolt down your squat rack to your platform without having to drill through the concrete. Alright, so having a stable squat rack is really important because if you're squatting 400 or 500 pounds or something like that and you go to rack it real hard, you don't want the whole rack to tip over. I'm sure you've seen some of those Instagram or YouTube fails where somebody racks some heavy weight or drops it and the whole rack flips over on top of them. We don't want that to happen. We want to stay safe and we don't want to get hurt. And for one thing, some of these racks aren't very stable, or they don't sit very flat, especially like this Titan. Because it's so modular, the bottom pieces and top pieces aren't welded like this part and this part. So they're going to be a little, I wouldn't say unstable, but they're not going to sit perfectly flat just the way they are. So bolting it down will also help give it some rigidity, keep it square and all that stuff when you go to tighten it up, tighten all the bolts. And it'll just make your squat rack look better and be more stable. All right guys, so this is what I'm talking about. This is the foot plate of one of the uprights on the rack. This is the platform that it's bolted to. Don't worry about the dust and dirt. This is a private gym, not a showroom, so get over it and quit making fun of me. All right, so anyway, this is the foot plate on the upright. It comes with a hole drilled in it already, and usually the top of the bolt would be here and the bolt would go down, but I didn't want to drill into the concrete, mainly because I didn't quite know where I wanted to put the rack, and this isn't really my concrete floor. Me and my workout partner, we are renting this space, so I didn't want to put like 4 huge holes in the concrete through the carpet and all that stuff. So what I did was put a carriage bolt. For those of you that don't know what a carriage bolt is, it's got the big round head on the bottom with the square, I guess the square lugs around the bolt. So that way the head of it locks in and then the nut tightens on the back. So anyway, a carriage bolt through the bottom, comes up through the top, has a washer, a split ring washer, and a nut. And there you can see there's the top of the bolt right there. Comes up through the bottom and clamps down. All right guys, this is a carriage bolt. As you can see, it's got a round head. Then there's the little squared off ring right there, shoulder, for locking into whatever you're bolting together. So this part locks in by itself. It usually fits into a square hole, and then you place whatever you want to on there or slide it through, and then put your washer and your nut and thread it down like that. And then this won't spin because it's locked in right here. So this is what a carriage bolt looks like. This is not the exact same ones that are in the squat rack because I only bought 4 because that's all I needed. I don't know what size they are, so don't ask. You just have to figure that out for yourself. Sorry. So here's a little drawing, a little diagram, if you will, of what the carriage bolt looks like in the squat rack. So here we got our bolt. This is the bottom and it runs up. Here's the plywood. There's the stall mat. The red is the rack foot, the metal foot from the upright of the rack. Goes through that. Then there's the little fender washer right there. The fender washer is just a regular washer, but it's a lot bigger. I don't know why they call it a fender. Maybe it's made for going on fenders or guitars or something. There's a split ring washer. When you first look at them, if you don't know, the split is offset, and then when you tighten it, it kind of squeezes it back together. It's kind of like spring loaded. It's basically like a lock washer, but I think they're called split ring washers. And then on top of that is the nut. So the carriage bolt runs through, clamps all that stuff together, and then you spin the nut on the top and it locks. Now, plywood for the square shoulder down here, I didn't drill or I didn't cut a square hole in the plywood. I did, this is actually inaccurate. Let me redraw these lines right here because I did countersink the plywood just a little so that the carriage bolt head would be flush. So it looks more like that. And then I've got a hole, like that's the hole that I drilled out with like a spade bit or a paddle bit. If you don't know what a paddle bit is, it's the one that kind of looks like this. It's like spade bit, paddle bit. It's got a big sharp point, and it's got the 2 little kind of fins or paddles, and it spins, it just like chips out wood, drills really big holes. So find a spade bit that fits the diameter, here we go, that fits this diameter of the carriage bolt. That way the bolt will kind of sink in to the plywood just a little. That way the head of it will be flush, and it won't like, that way the platform won't be balancing on the tip of 4 bolts. It'll actually be on the floor. So anyway, countersunk hole right there. I didn't worry about this because the plywood's kind of soft, and once you start going in there and tightening it, this will actually like mash into the wood and form its own square hole, and it'll lock down plenty tight enough once you start turning that nut and squeezing everything together. So yeah, there's the bolt. It goes through the plywood, through the stall mat, and then through the foot of the rack, and then you've got your washers and nuts and that sort of thing. So once you get ready to bolt the rack down, go ahead and measure, either kind of put the rack together or find a measurement somehow of where the 4 holes should be and mark them. Don't go off of what the rack, how the rack sits when you bolt it together, because like I said, these Titan racks are probably not going to sit perfectly square, just the way they are and just how modular they are. There's so many moving pieces. When you tighten them together, you know, the legs might squeeze in at the bottom, they might bow out at the bottom, anything like that. So what I did was I went ahead and measured where each stud or bolt should be, and then that's where I put I left everything loose on the rack and put the foot down first, tightened it to the floor, and then started at the bottom and tightened all the bolts all the way up. Because the bottom, you know, the foundation, like when you build a house, you start at the bottom and work your way up. So I got the foundation set where I wanted them to be, or where they should be on the platform, bolted that down, and then started, you know, bolting these down right here for the cross piece, all the way around, all 4 corners, and then just worked my way up to the top and started bolting down the pull-up bars and the cross bars on the top of the rack. That way, as you can see, the rack looks pretty square and looks pretty level all the way up and down, which it is. But before I bolted it down, the feet kind of bowed in a little bit on some corners, and it just wasn't really square. So measure out your holes, bolt it to the floor, and then work your way up. So that's pretty much how I got my squat rack bolted to my platform. This is a 2-piece platform. I did that for modularity because I built it in another spot. That's where I first used it, and I knew I was going to be moving. So I didn't want to have like an 8x8 platform 1-piece, because that'd be really hard to move. It'd be really heavy and really bulky, and it probably wouldn't even hardly fit on any of the trailers that I have. So I put it in 2 pieces. The 4x8 for the squat rack, it's 8 feet this way and 4 feet this way, which the squat rack fits perfectly on. And then the front platform is like the deadlift platform. It's got the plywood in the middle and the stall mat on the sides. It's another 4x8 that just kind of floats in front of this one. It usually stays put. Sometimes when I deadlift, it'll start to wander to the side a little bit. I don't know if you could tell from earlier in the video that the edge was a little bit off over here. I'll probably go under the mat and put some kind of metal, like a clip brace or something like that. You know what like how they stamp roof trusses together. It's just like a metal plate with teeth in it. I might like hammer one of those up under the stall mat in the joint right there to keep it from sliding, but hadn't got to that point yet. But anyway, bolting it like this to the platform and not to the concrete is plenty sturdy enough, because you can hear all this stuff shaking. That's not because it's moving off the floor. It's just because, you know, the weights are jiggling. If you like pushed it super hard, like maybe from the top, and pushed it as hard as you wanted to, it might flip the floor over. But you know, that's a 3/4 inch piece of plywood with, you know, 5/8 or 3/4 inch stall mat on top. It's a pretty heavy, you know, piece of wood on the bottom. And the weight of the rack, I don't know how much it weighs, but add that on top, you're probably not going to flip this thing over. I've squatted, you know, 400 pounds plenty of times, close to 500 for like singles, and I've racked it right here, and I never felt like the rack was unstable or insecure. Insecure? Maybe unsecure? Insecure would mean it doesn't like the way it looks or something like that, which I think it looks fine, so we'll go with unsecure. So like I was saying, I've done heavy squats on it, I've done pull-ups. I'll do one right here. Done a pull-up on the front. You know, I'm 225 pounds on the very top, and it's not going anywhere. I don't know about kipping pull-ups. Maybe you could do that on here. I don't know. I don't do those very much anymore. We've got another rack in the other room that's bolted to the wall at the top. That's made for swinging pull-ups, muscle-ups, all that crap. So never tried it on this. I'm sure you could. So there it is. That's how I got my squat rack bolted to my platform. This is a good way to make your squat rack secure without having to drill into the floor. A little disclaimer, you will have to have a platform, a 4x8 or 8x8, something pretty heavy with plywood, 2 layers, 1 layer, and then, you know, some stall mat on top, something heavy to give a squat rack something, you know, to anchor down to. So if you do that and you bolt it down real tight, you should have a plenty strong enough squat rack so you can do all the curls you want in your squat rack and not have to worry about your rack tipping over.